Two barndominiums. Same size. Same basic shell. One sold immediately for over $310,000. The other? It's been sitting, price dropped multiple times, and still no buyers. And here's the part that doesn't make sense. Most people can't even explain why one feels high-end, and the other just feels off. It's not the land, it's not the square footage, and it's definitely not the budget. The real difference comes down to a handful of decisions. The kind people make without thinking, that quietly make a barndominium feel cheap. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what those mistakes are, and how small changes can completely transform how a barndo feels, without blowing your budget. Because the truth is, most cheap-looking barndominiums aren't actually cheap. They just look like they are. This video is a breakdown of the mistakes that quietly make a barndominium look cheap, even on a generous budget, and more importantly, exactly what to do instead. We're covering the exterior choices that make a home read as a metal shed instead of a house, the interior habits that turn open concept into an echo chamber, the floor plan decisions that waste thousands in square footage nobody notices until the walkthrough, the real cost difference between the cheap version and the fixed version, and one hidden structural issue tied directly to a mistake most builders don't flag until it's already built. If you're planning a build, or you're staring at your own barndominium wondering why it doesn't feel finished, by the end of this video you'll know exactly which of these mistakes you're looking at. Welcome back to Barndominium Plan Studio, the channel where we break down real numbers, real design decisions, and real trade-offs behind barndominium living. We're not selling you a kit, we're showing you the math. If you're new here, we cover everything from floor plans to construction costs to the mistakes nobody warns you about until they're already poured in concrete. So if that's useful to you, go ahead and subscribe. That's the only algorithm trick that actually works. More of you sticking around. Let's get into why this topic matters more than most people think. This one earns its spot on the channel for a different reason than our usual home tours. Every mistake in this video shows up on homes that cost real money to build. Homes where the owners paid for quality materials and still ended up with something that reads as unfinished. That's the frustrating part. These aren't budget failures. They're planning failures. According to appraisers who specialize in rural and steel frame properties, homes with these specific issues consistently appraise 5 to 15% below comparable barndominiums without them, even when the square footage and lot size are identical. That's real money left on the table, on a home you already paid full price to build. So this isn't really a video about mistakes. It's a video about the 6 places your budget can quietly disappear without ever showing up as a line item. Let's start outside, because exterior mistakes are the ones a home never recovers from. You can fix a bad interior layout later. You cannot cheaply fix a bad roofline. Mistake number 1 is skipping the base treatment entirely. A metal building with siding running straight to the ground, no stone, no brick, no wainscoting of any kind, is what gives a barndominium what builders bluntly call the tin shed look. Adding a stone or brick base at $8 to $15 per square foot installed is consistently one of the highest return exterior upgrades available, because it visually anchors the home to the ground instead of letting it float. Mistake number 2 is designing windows from the inside only. A bedroom gets a window because the bedroom needs one. A bathroom gets a small one because code requires it. Nobody steps back and looks at the front elevation until the siding's already up, and by then the facade is scattered, mismatched sizes at mismatched heights with no visual rhythm. Mistake number 3 is an oversimplified roofline. A single flat gable can look clean and intentional, but only when the pitch is right, somewhere around a 4 to 12 to 6 to 12 slope reads as a proper home instead of a commercial building. Too flat and it looks industrial. Too many competing peaks fighting each other, and it looks chaotic. Mistake number 4 is ignoring material discipline. Homes that mix 4 or 5 different siding materials, metal, brick, wood, stone, vinyl trim, all in one attempt to look custom, usually end up looking like a house that couldn't make up its mind. The homes that photograph will almost always use 2 materials, maybe 3, applied with restraint. Here's what ties all 4 together. None of these are expensive fixes on their own. A stone base, a rhythm to the windows, a sensible roof pitch, and restraint on materials cost very little compared to the total build. What they cost is planning time before the shell ever goes up, which is exactly the point where most of these decisions get skipped. Now step inside, because the interior has its own version of these same mistakes, and one of them is almost universal in barndominiums specifically. Mistake number 5 is what builders call the empty warehouse feeling. A 60-foot great room looks incredible in a rendering, but standard furniture disappears inside it. A normal sofa reads like dollhouse furniture against an 18-foot ceiling, and the room ends up feeling less like a living space and more like a lobby. The fix is deliberate zoning, oversized furniture pieces, defined seating areas anchored by rugs, and a scale of decor that actually matches an 18 to 20-foot ceiling instead of a standard 8-foot one. Mistake number 6, and this is the one almost nobody plans for in advance, is acoustics. Concrete floors, metal walls, and a vaulted ceiling create what's essentially an echo chamber. Sound bounces instead of absorbing, which makes an otherwise beautiful great room feel loud, cold, and strangely uncomfortable to actually sit in. The professional fix is building in soft surfaces from the start, large area rugs, upholstered furniture, and in some cases acoustic wall panels disguised as design features, rather than trying to solve it after move-in with a few throw pillows. And a quieter mistake tied to both of these, relying on standard-sized windows in a room built at barn scale. A giant open room with regular windows starts to feel like a dark cave the moment the sun moves, because the light-to-volume ratio is completely off. The floor plan mistakes are quieter than the visual ones, but they're often the most expensive because they're baked into the foundation before anyone notices. Mistake number 7 is designing for square footage instead of function. A floor plan that maximizes total area on paper, but never asks how a family actually moves through a day, where the coats go, where the muddy boots go, where the HVAC returns actually need to sit, ends up feeling impressive and impractical at the same time. Mistake number 8 is skipping storage and utility planning until the framing stage. Barndominiums have a specific vulnerability here because open floor plans have fewer natural spots for closets, and if storage isn't designed in from a start, it gets bolted on afterward as a freestanding unit that breaks the clean lines the open plan was supposed to create. Mistake number 9 is treating HVAC and plumbing as an afterthought instead of a floor plan input. A traditional residential HVAC system often can't adequately condition a room with an 18-foot ceiling and open sightlines in every direction, which means the ductwork and return locations need to be part of the floor plan conversation, not something an installer figures out after the walls are already framed. And mistake number 10 is designing with zero room to expand. A floor plan boxed in on all 4 sides by load-bearing decisions might look complete now, but it forces an expensive full renovation the moment life changes, a growing family, an aging parent moving in, a home office that's suddenly a full-time need. None of these mistakes show up on a walkthrough. They show up 2 years later as a cramped hallway, a missing coat closet, or a $50,000 addition that could have been a $10,000 plan adjustment before the foundation was poured. Here's where the number either holds up or falls apart. So let's put real dollars against fixing versus ignoring each of these mistakes. According to current 2026 industry data, standard barndominium finishes run $65 to $160 per square foot, with premium builds running $200 or more. Almost none of the mistakes we've covered require jumping into that premium tier. Most of them are $5 to $15 per square foot decisions. A stone or brick base treatment runs $8 to $15 per square foot installed on just the lower portion of the exterior walls, typically adding $3,000 to $7,000 total on an average-sized home, a small fraction of overall cost for what's consistently the highest return single exterior decision available. Redesigning window placement before construction costs nothing beyond design time, but retrofitting a scattered facade after the fact, adding or resizing openings in an already built steel structure, can run several $1,000s per opening once you factor in structural modifications and residing. Acoustic treatment, done proactively with area rugs, upholstered furniture, and a few acoustic panels built into the ceiling design, typically adds $1,000 to $3,000 to a furnishing budget. Solving it after move-in with contractor-installed acoustic paneling can run 3 to 5 times that. And the floor plan mistakes are the most expensive to fix after the fact by far. A missing coat closet or poorly placed utility room might cost a few $100s to plan correctly up front. Retrofitting it later, moving plumbing, adding framing, patching concrete, routinely runs into the tens of thousands. The pattern across every single mistake in this video is the same. Fixing it before construction costs a rounding error. Fixing it after is a renovation project. So what does it actually look like when these mistakes get avoided from the start? Homeowners who get this right talk about the same thing consistently. The home feels intentional. Every room photographs, well, not because it's expensive, but because nothing about it feels like an afterthought bolted onto an otherwise good structure. They also talk about comfort in a way that surprises people, a great room that doesn't echo, a facade that doesn't scream metal building, a floor plan that actually supports how the household moves day to day instead of fighting it. And appraisers consistently back this up. Homes that avoid these specific pitfalls appraise closer to comparable stick-built homes in the area, which matters enormously if resale or refinancing is ever part of the plan. The through line here is simple. None of this required a bigger budget than the home next door that got it wrong. It required getting 6 decisions right before the shell ever went up. But there's one mistake on this list that's more serious than the rest, because it doesn't just cost you curb appeal. It can cost you the structure itself. Skipping proper moisture management, flashing, vapor barriers, and drainage planning around the steel frame doesn't just risk mold the way it does in a wood-framed home. In a steel building, trapped moisture leads directly to corrosion. And in humid or coastal regions, salt air and rainfall accelerate that process significantly. The dangerous part is that this kind of corrosion typically develops behind finished walls, completely invisible during a normal walkthrough. And it's frequently tied directly back to exterior mistake number 1, skipping proper base flashing and drainage where the siding meets the ground. A home can look finished, photographed beautifully, and still be quietly rusting from the inside for years before anyone notices a problem. This one's a known fix, and it's almost entirely about sequencing. Doing the right things in the right order during construction. Proper flashing at every point where siding meets a horizontal surface, the base, windowsills, roof-to-wall transitions, is the first non-negotiable, because that's where water finds its way behind the exterior skin in the first place. A continuous vapor barrier system paired with correctly sequenced drainage planes gives any moisture that does get in a path back out instead of a place to sit and accumulate against bare steel. For anyone in a humid or coastal region specifically, upgrading to a galvanized or specially coated steel stud system adds a relatively small percentage to framing costs, but meaningfully extends the structure's resistance to salt air and moisture over its lifespan. If you're working with a builder right now, this is the exact question worth asking directly. How is moisture managed at the base of the exterior walls? Because it's invisible on move-in day and structural 5 years later. So what actually separates a barndominium that looks cheap from one that looks like it belongs on an estate listing? In almost every case, it's not the budget. It's a base treatment instead of bare siding, a planned window rhythm instead of an inside-out approach, a sensible roofline, material restraint, furniture, and acoustics scaled to the room, a floor plan built around real daily function, and moisture management done correctly from the first flashing detail. None of these require a bigger check. They require making these 6 decisions before the shell goes up, not after the walkthrough reveals what's missing. Quick disclaimer before we wrap up. The design patterns and cost figures featured in this video are composite examples built from real 2026 industry data and common construction practices, representing general trends rather than a single specific property. Construction costs vary significantly by region, builder, and material availability, so always get a detailed assessment from a licensed local contractor before budgeting your own build. If you spotted one of these mistakes on your own build or on a home you're currently planning, drop the number in the comments. And it's usually what tips the scale on our next video. And if you're mid-planning right now, tell us which of these 6 you're most worried about getting wrong. We've got a community of builders and planners in the comments working through the exact same decisions you are. If this video helped you catch something before it got poured in concrete, That's the kind of math this channel exists to run. Subscribe if you want more real numbers and real design breakdowns like this one. And we'll see you in the next one.